What really got me into going to Mass at frequent was actually altar serving. I became an altar server, started altar serving. That got me into very close with the parish priest that I was at in my home parish, and of course just being close to the altar, being close to the Eucharist. From there, thoughts of priesthood, of course, came up. When I was 14, I remember I told my director of the youth ministry that was there that I was thinking about priesthood, and she said, great. She said, I will put you into contact with a bunch of things. She sent me on a bunch of vocation weekends, a bunch of come and see things. And so it was a great calling there. But I remember I was reading the lives of the saints at the time, and St. Francis, of course, stood out to me. And one of the things that I really saw in St. Francis was how the Lord kind of gave to him signs of what to do. And so actually I asked the Lord for a sign. I said, if you want me to be a priest, give me a little brother. I had 2 sisters at the time, so I said, give me a little brother. My mother became pregnant, and she went through a pregnancy. Unfortunately, towards the 8th month of her pregnancy, those complications, and the child died in her womb. And so she had a stillborn, and so my family, of course, had to deal with that. But once again, the thought of priesthood came in, and I thought, well, God gave me a brother, but he really didn't give me a brother, right? And so on and so forth. Of course, as human beings are, I asked for another sign. I said, God asked me one more time, right? Give me a brother. And so I asked him, and then my mother got pregnant again. And so I actually have my brother now. He's just going to turn 18, going to graduate from high school. And so that was kind of my sign. And so when I entered into the seminary, I was still struggling about diocesan life or religious life. And of course, as I mentioned, St. Francis is a big, big draw for me. And so when I came here to Chicago, I actually went to Marytown, which is our National Shrine of St. Maximin Kolbe, which is actually right next to the seminary. And that's where we went to our retreat for the beginning of the year. And so seeing the friars there kind of just drew me in. And once again, St. Francis got a hold of me and brought me into his order. So just it kind of came from a phone call that the seminary was looking for formators to help form the guys into being priests, and that my name was given to the rector. And so unbeknownst to me, it was not like I called the rector myself and was like, hey, I want to come back to Mundelein, but through different channels, I guess my name was brought up. And so Father Carci got in contact with him, and he got in contact with me, and so just asked, what do you need for the seminary? He said, we need formators. We need guys to come and to help form these priests, not necessarily to teach them any theology or anything, or to even do spiritual direction, but to really form them in the external form as far as making them good men for priesthood. And he asked if I thought I could do that, and I said, yeah, I think I could. And so here I am. And now this is a kind of an interesting question, right? Why would a religious priest be in a diocesan seminary form, a diocesan priest, right? Well, there's an element in the sense of I bring a spirituality, right? The Franciscan spirituality. And the diocesan life, right, can be opened up to many different spiritualities, right? There's no one set spiritual life for a diocesan priest, right? Of course, St. John Vianney is the patron of priests, but there's no set one spirituality, right? So the guys have to, in a sense, kind of make their own spirituality from different traditions, right? And so what I bring is the Franciscan dimension of the church. And so what they can benefit from that, I definitely would love to bring. But also just a sense of community, because that's one thing, of course, that's important, right? They're still, even though they're diocesan priests and they may be working alone in a parish, they're still part of a community, right? A community of priests, a presbyterate. And so bringing that communal dimension, that community life, I think is important for them to realize too. They're not just working by themselves, they're not lone wolves, right? They're part of something larger. And so I think I bring two of those things that may not have been here before. So the sense of getting a sense of priesthood was, to me, a big thing that was emphasized here. I think that is not maybe emphasized in some other places that I know of, is really what does priesthood mean, the kind of spirituality of a priest, the identity of a priest, and what a priest is, not just what he does, but who a priest is kind of stands out for me from Mundelein.